Hello, this is my husband Nathan, and this is my lovely doggy Pinky, and I'm going to discuss with Nate today two cases from the Sandals book, What's Right Thing to Do. And I will begin with the trolley case first. Suppose you're the driver of the trolley car and your trolley car is hurling down the track at the 60 miles an hour at the end of the track you know that five workers working. You try to stop but you can't. Your brakes don't work. You feel desperate because you know if you crash into those five workers they will all die. Let's assume you know that they all will die for sure.
Okay.
So you feel helpless until you know that to the right a side track, and in the end of that track there is one worker working at the track. Your sterling works, so you can turn the trolley car into two, uh, um, if you want to, onto the side track, killing the one and saving the five. Here's my questions. What do you think is the right thing to do? What what would you do? Would you turn car onto the side track or wouldn't and go straight ahead?
Okay. Well, I think from a common sense approach, I would probably turn the wheel and go towards one instead of five, uh, just based on a liability type attitude. I have to think that way for my job as a police officer, so it seems like, yeah, I would probably turn towards the one.
Why why if this those five people it's bad people and they work in terms of peril and another guy that one worker on another side is a single dad of five kids, and he's hard worker and he's just awesome person, and you never know who you're killing, and.
You never know anybody when you're talking to them, so there's no way for me to know that who is who and what kind of life they've lived. So I don't think you would obviously wouldn't have time to think about that at the time. So you make a split second decision under stress, and common sense would tell you to go towards one rather than five.
Okay, and in the second version of this, he is standing on the bridge of there is a very heavy man standing on the bridge overlooking a trolley track alongside, and Sandal argues they would be reluctant to agree it's ethical to push the heavy man onto the track to save on the five workers. Do you agree with that? Would you push a heavy man to stop the trolley and save five workers?
Um, no. Couple things there. One, I probably wouldn't have the timing ability to be able to push something off a bridge at the right moment to stop a trolley. And two, I'm not so sure that even the heaviest man in the world could stop a several thousand-pound trolley car at 65 miles an hour.
That's
So,
true too.
yeah, I probably wouldn't take that chance and just, you know, let the course of action be its own. There's really nothing, I don't feel like that would be a good way to stop the trolley, so no.
Right. Well, okay. The second story is it's not a hypothetical story anymore. It's a real life story. The case, the Queen versus Dudley and Stevens. Was 18th century British law case. There is very famous case. I heard a lot of law schools studying this case. Here's what happened in the case. A newspaper account of the time described a background. The saddest story of disaster at the sea was never told than that the survivors of the ship, the Mignanet. In the summer of 1884, four English sailors were standing at the sea in a small lifeboat in the South Atlantic, over 1,000 miles from the land. Their ship had gone down in a storm and they had escaped to the lifeboat with only 2 cans of preserves, turnips, and no fresh water. Tom Dudley was the captain, Edwin Stephen was the first mate, and Edmund Brooks was a sailor, all men with excellent characters according to newspaper account. The first member of the crew was the famous cabin boy, Richard Parker. His age was 17, and he was an uh, orphan on his first long voyage at the sea. He had signed up against the advice of his friend in the uh, hopeless of the useful admission, thinking the journey would make a man of him. Sadly, it was not to be. From the lifeboat, the four standard sail watched the horizon, hoping a ship might pass and rescue them. For the first 3 days, they ate small routines of turnips. On the first day, they caught a turtle. They subsisted on the turtle and the remaining turnips the next few days, and then for the 8 days, they ate nothing. By now, Parker, which was the cabin boy, was laying in the corner of the lifeboat. He had drunk seawater against the advance of the others, I guess, because they have experience and became ill. He appeared to be dying. On the 19th day of their ordeal, Dudley, which is the captain of the boat, suggested drawing a lot to determine who would die so the other might live. But Brooks refused, and no lots were drawn. I think Brooks just got very scared that he can lose. The next day came, and still no ship was in sight. Sadly told Brooks to avert his gaze to motion it to Stephen and mention it to Stephen that Parker had to be killed. Dudley offered a prayer, told the boy his time had come, and then killed him with a penknife, stabbing him in the jugular vein. Brooks emerged from his consequent objection to share in the gruesome bounty. For 4 days, the three men fed on the body and blood of the cabin boy. And then help came. Dudley described that on the 21st day, as we were having our breakfast, a ship appeared at last. The three survivors were picked up, and upon their return to England, they were arrested and tried. Brooks turned state witness. Dudley and Stephen went to trial. They freely confessed that they had killed and eaten Parker. They claimed they had done so out of necessity. And so, Nate, I want to hear how would you imagine that you are the jury in this case?
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to put myself in the mind of someone in the 19th century and how I would think if I were living at that time. But now I would have a lot of questions about how close the cabin boy was to death. So through autopsy and forensic examination, toxicology and things like that, would he have died anyway? What their mind state would have been
Is
under
it
those conditions.
Technology is much better right now to figure it out
Yeah,
these
sure.
things, and
Yeah,
it was
that's what I'm
used to
saying.
be
I don't know
before.
how, I can equate that to the 19th century, but, today I'd also want to hear from experts on what a person's mental state would be if they were going through that scenario of not eating in a certain amount of time, and how it affects your mental capacities and how you're thinking. I would want to hear all the facts on that, but from what I can imagine, the answers to those questions would be, I would probably have a vote for not guilty. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think even right now, it's just uh, everything, technology is so much ahead. So like, they sign in a contract when they going out in the ships and stuff like that. Right? The, if
Well,
something like that happens,
I don't know anything about that, but stuff that I told you are the answers that I would want before I made a vote.
uh, that's all we have to say. Thank you. Bye.